imaginations have only visualized before. We used to say in our mind, what would happen if we create someone who's an exact duplicate of ourselves? In recent years, scientists successfully made that visualization a reality. Today, I will be introducing you to reproductive cloning, how it was done, its importance, as well as the ethical and religious dilemma that followed the experiment of the first cloned mammal. Reproductive cloning is the process of creating, duplicating, or replacing an organism by producing an embryo for implantation, leading to the birth of a cloned organism. A surrogate mother is required. The surrogate will give birth to a clone that is genetically identical to the genetic donor. When the embryo is ready, it is transferred into a surrogate mother for gestation. The Dolly sheep is the name of the first mammal ever to be born as a result of cloning, cloned from an adult Finn Dorset ewe and an adult Scottish black-faced ewe sheep. This experiment was conducted by Dr. Ian Wilmot, an English biologist, embryologist, and chair of the Scottish Centre for Regenerative Medicine at the University of Edinburgh. Dr. Ian Wilmot and his team of Scottish researchers at the Rosalind Institute successfully cloned the sheep back in 1996. A single cell was obtained from the mammary gland of a 6-year-old Finn Dorset sheep, and then the DNA was extracted from the cell. From a separate second sheep, which is the Scottish black-faced ewe, they extracted an egg cell and replaced its nucleus with the one extracted earlier from the first sheep. In order to fuse the egg cell with the new nucleus, electric shock was subjected, in which embryo formation indicates success. The developing embryo was then implanted into a third female Scottish black-faced sheep, a surrogate mother. Dolly was born to her Scottish black-faced surrogate mother on the 5th of July in 1996. Dolly's white face was one of the first signs that she was a clone, because if she was genetically related to her surrogate mother, she would have had a black face. Can you guess how many trials were done before Dolly was born? 300 times. Dolly was important because she was the first mammal to be cloned from an adult stem cell. Her birth proved that specialized cells could be used to create an exact copy of the animal they came from. This knowledge changed what scientists thought was possible and opened up a lot of possibilities in biology and medicine, including the development of personalized stem cells, known as induced pluripotent cells, iPS cells. The rise of these iPS cells has reduced the need for embryonic stem cells, which have long caused ethical concerns for some, and iPS cells now form the basis for most of today's stem cell research. There is also a link between the Dolly experiment and the so-called CRISPR technologies that allow scientists to edit genomes. Dolly was announced to the world on the 22nd of February in 1997 to a frenzy of media attention. Wilmot and his colleagues suspected that the idea of cloning a mammal would spark a major ethical concerns worldwide, and felt they had to do absolutely clear that the human reproductive cloning was not the goal of their research, that Dolly was cloned for purely commercial purposes of producing pharmaceuticals in animal milk at a cost significantly lower than conventional commercial methods. In fact, in their Nature paper describing the experiment, they omitted the words clone and cloning entirely, using the more obscure and morally neutral somatic cell nuclear transfer, also known as SCNT, instead, presumably to avoid raising ethical concerns. The announcement, with a description of the method used to bring Dolly into existence, triggered a feverish worldwide response because of the possible implications for human cloning. Among the concerns, that cloned mammals had a higher than average risk of health problems, that SCNT created a slippery slope that could ultimately lead to designer babies, which is somehow a violation of the natural order, or perhaps it would be an act of playing God. The announcement of the sheep clone Dolly in 1997 sent many religious leaders to the pulpit. Others scrambled through religious texts looking for guidance. There were plenty of swift condemnations, but as the realities and limitations of science have removed some of the haze surrounding the cloning, the philosophical and religious debates have also come into focus. Diversity among Muslims make an authoritative description of Islamic thought on cloning nearly impossible. Nasir Farid Wasir, Egypt's Mufti, said in 1999 that cloning clearly contradicts Islam. Other Muftis have gone further, saying that scientists who clone are doing Satan's work. Dr. Abdulaziz Shamida, a professor at University of Virginia and an Islamic scholar in the US, believes that most Muslims will eventually agree that scientists wouldn't have discovered cloning if Allah hadn't willed it. So cloning for the purpose of enhancing the chances of procreating within a solid family structure will be regarded as an act of faith in the ultimate will of God as the giver of life. Dr. Ibrahim B. Said, director of the Islamic Research Foundation International and outspoken cloning supporter, says such absolute statement from religious leaders only serve to complicate the conversation. Anything new, just as a reaction, they oppose it, Said said. Our religious leaders will have little knowledge of evolving technologies, but the problem works both ways. He conceded, the scientists don't know anything about religious beliefs often. In conclusion, the cloning debate reveals more about our prejudice towards reproductive technologies in general than it does about our ability to make wise decisions about biomedical advances. Ethical, social, and religious values will come into play when seeking to decide if humanity